Hey guys, how's it going? Failquo here. I'm gonna do another version of my tier list. This is for January 2nd, so Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you enjoy the new year. First of all, I want to say this tier list has a lot of meta defining stuff in it, I guess is the best way to term it. A lot of the guys are ranked high just because other guys are ranked high, and it's a domino effect. There's certain guys that are really good, and then other guys that are just kind of better because there's part of the meta. So some of the guys are going to be ranked higher than some might think, and some guys are going to be ranked lower. So keep that in mind when we're going through this. As always, my tier list is up on Google Docs, so you can always check it out from a stream channel. I will list it in the below, as well as my stream. So you can always check it out if you don't want to watch the video. Without further ado, there's 4 new heroes released in this, so it's going to be a little bit trickier than normal. It took me a little bit longer to come up with this because I was trying to figure out certain guys and how they worked compared to what's going on. And I also kind of updated the uniques as well, as I think they were kind of lagging behind a little bit. So without further ado, we're going to get into it. I am also going to start with Empire's side this time. Mostly because this guy is kind of defining the meta right now. So we're going to work this way and then go to Rebels. So first up, number 1 for Empire, I have Maul. I think everybody understands that. Everybody knows why. He's pretty tanky. He does tons of DPS. Even without the new buff, I don't think the new buff really helped him out that much. You have to suicide early for it to actually matter for the cooldown timer, and the extra health isn't too bad. If you're going against level 6, yeah, but that's level 6, so. I think the biggest help from Maul was ATRTs. He does really good into them because he's got a whole bunch of health, so he can tank them very well. And he's got decent DPS, so he can take them down quick. So basically, the ATRTs kind of made him into what I kind of thought he was going to be when he was first released, was a counter push kind of hero. He can do that with the ATRTs, or he can just die like crazy. Because he's a Maul, and his unique is super strong. Does tons of damage. You can put it on turrets, so it soaks up a whole bunch of turret shots. I think that's the biggest thing with it. It's takes 2 or 3 turret shots for one little droid, and that's a ton of damage right there. So yeah, without having to worry too much, because Boba dropped down and Callus kind of dropped down because of the ST nerf kind of with ATRTs. So he shoots straight up there. He can basically do whatever the hell he wants. If he wants to kill a hero, he can go kill the hero with his skill. Skill's really good at that, or even just getting on a tower, his skill's really good. He can play defensive, sit back, use unique, use bomber, counter push really well, or he can just kill turrets. Just go, he's like, I'm just taking your turret now. There's not much you can do. So he's number 1. I know other people will think this next guy coming up would be number 1, but I think Maul just does everything a little bit better than the next guy. Next up, we got Kylo Ren, who is Matt the Radar Technician, a big favorite of mine. Super strong. He's got tons of DPS when he rages. He takes a hell of a lot less damage when he rages. And his skill is super strong. Freezing people for 4 seconds is hella good. One of the reasons I think Kylo Ren's not as good as Maul, though, is there's certain Rebel heroes like Hera and Jyn and Padme that can all just kind of stand back and DPS him down and get away from him. So you can't really kill him. I know people would just be like, you go for turrets, but if he's just going for turrets, he's kind of wasting his rage. With rage, you kind of want to get a whole bunch of stuff and kill it, and it's really good. If you can AoE down 5 energy worth of troops with it, you're so far ahead. So that's one big thing with Kylo compared to Maul, is he's not as good as going straight for towers. Because he's not as good as defending the giant pushback as Maul is. I think one of the biggest problems too with Kylo right now is that people have him like his unique at level 5. His unique is like the rage duration just goes nuts. So like even levels he's not too bad because the rage like I'm thinking like level 3, level 4. Because the rage duration isn't too bad, but like when you have it basically permanently on, it's super OP. So I think that's one reason why I think a lot of people think Kylo's better. I think he's just super efficient at clearing waves. Like, a lot of people play badly into him as well, where they just keep like throwing stuff at him when his rage is up. You don't really want to do that, but I just think he's a good solid hero. Some people can get away from him, unfortunately. That's basically his only weakness and why he's not as good as Maul. So he's number 2. Pretty easy number 2 actually too. The fall off for the next couple of guys are pretty big, I think. So it's like Maul, Kylo, number 1, 2, pretty easily. I think everybody agrees with that. Depends on what order you want. But next up, we got Kallus. Still don't like Yogar. He's still bad. I don't know. But Kallus is just so strong. Being able to stun ATRTs, incredibly good. Cooldown timer is actually pretty decent if you got the set bonus going. Which, sorry, I forgot one thing about Kylo is his set bonus sucks ass. Compared to like Maul's set bonus where you get more energy. It's like, yeah, just what he needs. And then Kylo's is you respawn faster. It's like, I don't really care. Like, it's not even, you get like half a second. It's not even a big deal at most. But back to Kallus, sorry guys. The set's actually pretty decent because you get 15% less cooldown, so it's like 3 seconds. A little bit higher. So you can stun ATRTs. He's great at clearing just random waves of stuff because he just does so much AoE damage. And he does so much damage to units. So he's really good at clearing ATRTs. Really good at clearing aggro decks. Really good at clearing Swarm. So he basically does tons of damage. And he's pretty tanky. And he's got CC. So his whole package makes up for the fact that Yogar's not that great. And even then, Yogar against ATRTs isn't too bad if you drop him. Speed you up, and then you can take out the ATRTs faster. If you like to go in that route. I'd rather just play something else. To round out the top 4 for Empire, we got our favorite Lizard Boy here. Again, unique sucks. Don't use this. He's just got so much power when he kills somebody. Like, getting 3 energy is insanely good. It can be tough to get it off sometimes, but, like, if you can't get it off, it's like they're not pushing, so you don't really have to worry about too much about losing. His net's really good against aggro leaders. It's really good for catching leaders that are just out of position, low health. He's got a nice AoE attack with his successive shots, so that's good for clearing some trash that gets piled up. ATRT is not too bad either. So boss number 4. Energy is just king. It's so nice to kill people and then be able to push back super hard. So that rounds out S tier for Empire. Next up, we kind of got a whole bunch of guys sitting in this area. So first up, we'll start with Vader. I was going back and forth with Vader and Kallus. Problem is, you just can't stun ATRTs, so he's a little weak. His pull's basically always up now, which is insane. Super nice. And his ability, like, they buffed his passive, but I think the biggest buff to his passive was actually giving, like, good organic units. Like, these guys, healing them, healing these guys. Healing Aphra is really good. So being able to actually heal stuff instead of having, like, ATSG and, like, all mechanical troops helps him out a bit. However, he's just not as good as the top 4. He's still a little slow. And can be caught out of position. Otherwise, he's a CC machine, which is really nice. He's super tanky, tankiest guy in the game. With just health. And does a fair amount of DPS as well. Next up, we got Thrawn. Who's always doing the blue man stuff. Price gets a little bit of a hit because T-70 is running around. So if you play her and she gets T-70s, it kind of sucks. But, you know, they're using AoE up just to kill Price. Which I guess gives you 2 energy, but You'd rather have her alive. No matter what they do, Thrawn is just so good at counter pushing. Like, if you can kill the other hero, the other guy's just gonna lose so much. Spawning stormtroopers is nice. Rey can cause a little bit of a problem, but I know a lot of guys are starting to just use a whole bunch of tech stuff and then just building up stormtroopers and sending them. Because even if you get like a couple, 2 stormtroopers, Price and Thrawn with his abilities, it's not so bad. He still gets tons of damage from his passive. So if you like playing control, like playing back, smart, he does tons of damage, and then his ability can get you up there too, because it's always up now as well, because the set. So the thing is with Thrawn, it's like he keeps looking to be really good, and then every card they release like wrecks Thrawn, except for like ATRT, which was actually nice. But like T70, Boomerang guy, new pipe guy, it's just anything AOE, just like Thrawn's nightmare. But he's still going strong. He's still pretty good. Like I said, just no top 4. Next up, we got Krennic. Another guy with a shitty unique, but he makes up for it. He like shits single target DPS. It's like he probably, when it comes down to it, he probably is the best single target DPS in the game. Like he does 360% damage every 20, basically every 20 seconds if you have full passive, or full set, sorry. Plus, his consecutive shots, it's like it makes it even quicker. So this is basically always up. There's probably like 5 to 10 seconds of downtime on this before you're starting shooting at people again. And he gets energy. So, tons of single target damage, tons of energy so you can get out that AoE when you need it. Next up, I kind of went overboard last week on this. I had Emperor top 4. However, it didn't really work out that way. I think he's still really good. Having an extra set of Bladesmen that can't be taken over is really nice for ATRT. He does tons of single target or AoE damage, single target damage, and then his passive is really underrated too. Get a whole bunch more damage when you kill somebody. Biggest problem with Palpatine right now is that he's tough to play. He's super squishy, so you gotta be really careful. Otherwise, he's really good. He's really good at dealing with ATRTs. You can wipe him out pretty instantly with his ability or his unique. And he's really good against Swarm and the low health guys that are running around for Rebels. Next up, we had a guy that dropped last time. We got Boba. ATRTs really hurt him because he can't just protect ATST with Slave 1 and Nerve Gas. I think he's still really good. He's got, like, definitely a hero killer. Got tons of AoE. He just doesn't have as effective a way as pushing as he used to. So you basically kind of want to go the boss route and kill heroes. But then you just play boss, right? But he's still strong. He's just not as strong as he was the last couple months. Next up, we got, first of the new heroes, we got Phasma. Who I've said plenty of times, basically a better Dengar. She just has big AoE, which is super nice, 400%. Really solid stats. And then a passive that's just meh. If you reset it, it's nice, but it's not that big of a deal. And then her unique's really good if you can catch people on coming to your side. So it's one of those things. Aggro guys just hate this dude. You can't really go aggro against Phasma, which is nice. Stuns tech units, which is nice against like G&Ks or ATRTs, stuff like that. So basically, like, Phasma is really, like, she's a decent leader. She's nothing really that special. She's got good stats, nice AoE. But T-Rex kind of makes her complete just because so much control with him. And for 3 energy is really good. I don't think she's up there with the top 4. I could be wrong. But I think in the end, she's really good, just not the top tier right now. Her set bonus also doesn't really help out too much. Next up, we're going to B tier. These guys, it's just a little bit too much weakness to be up top, be up higher. First, we're gonna start off with Seventh Sister. Basically, shits damage, tons of single target damage, but she gets wrecked by AoE because if you can take care of her bots, then you're good. She's fast. She does tons of damage. Brother's handy to have. You don't always have to use him. But having a taunt available can't hurt. Especially against some leaders if you're finding you're running into a wall against them. But like I said, she gets really hurt by AoE. And she's not as tanky as some other guys. That's why she's down here. Next up we got Cad. Cad Bane. I think one of the biggest knocks against him is his unique sucks. Doesn't do anything. Like it'll like pretend to fire and then not fire. Because you have to move. I think he might be ranked a little low. But he really depends on the meta. He just does tons of AoE damage. And his death thing is super nice. You can die properly, die on a tower, it does tons of damage. The biggest problem I have with Cad is if people are running a lot of like high tanky stuff that you can't really AoE as much, he's not as good. Because that's what his unique was for. It just doesn't work out that way. For me, I think Cad was probably the hardest one to rank this time. Even with all the new heroes. Just because he's so meta dependent. Like, if there's tons of Swarm, he's amazing. But if there's a lot of tanky stuff, he doesn't do as well. So we'll have to see how it goes. This guy could really shoot up. Or he could kind of move down a little bit. But we'll see how it goes. Next up, we got Tarkin. TK's decent. There's a little bit more tech running around for Rebels, so it's not as great as it was. Biggest thing with Tarkin is he's really good against everything against ATRTs. And even then, he's not too bad. But it's super hard to deal with ATRTs sometimes as Tarkin. I think he kind of has the same problem as Cad. Is like, there's a whole bunch of like tanky stuff. He has issues. It really comes down to the player for Tarkin, right? Because if you can deal with the ATRTs or tanky stuff fairly easily, then you're going to do really well. But right now, it's tough to do that, so that's why he's down here. And finally, we got GG, who I moved up this week. I think just being able to have full tech, the new Spider Droid, just helps him out so much. Having some decent AoE. Not having to worry about dying to, like, boomerang shit. People are also starting to level up a little bit more, the tech guys. I just think he's solid, but not spectacular. He's super fun to play, though. Running around with tech stuff is pretty funny. He's got really good uniques. I just think he's solid. He just doesn't excel at anything. Which is, I guess, maybe like having health on units, but it just keeps him down here while other guys are still up there. Like, I wouldn't say Grievous is bad, but I wouldn't say he's great. So that's why he's kind of here. For me, at least. Next up, we go to C tier. These guys are pretty rough. I think they can be usable, but it's going to take... It's going to be rough going sometimes. First, we got Dengar. Like I said, it kind of gets overshadowed by Phasma now. It's the same thing. Doesn't have as good as stats, but it's still okay. Has a little AoE. It's not as good as Phasma's, and his passive is like... whatever. I get it. Maybe like 1 out of every 10 games. And maybe like 1 out of every like 3 it matters. And then like Forlom. Forlom's a beast. The range still hurts him. It's super hard to kill like the guys that sit back and do nothing. So that's why he's down here. And then even then he has some tough times against aggro. If they played smart. So he's not complete trash, but he's not that great either. Next up, we got the other new hero. We got Hux. I don't actually have his unique right now. I actually made an alt to play him because I really wasn't sure about him. What I found is his unique is useless, basically. Just don't use it. Like, there's no point in having him and then Riot Troopers. Just use Riot Troopers, then you're fine. I think the biggest problem with Hux is his skill doesn't actually do too much. You need to use something else like a stun or a net or a nerve gas for it to actually be useful. if you're going after a hero. It's not too bad for towers. To get things like the problem is you want to kill somebody first and then use it because go quick. His passive is really nice. You get so much damage on first order units. However, there aren't too many first order units, so it remains to be seen. If they released a few more, it could be good. Like these guys, basically you want to end up using like all these guys, right? I think these are the main 4 guys. I don't think flamers are that great because they're going to be moving, right? Like if you use a special, they're going to end up starting to move. And you want these to be standing still. I think all these 3 guys can be great. You kind of have to watch out for Ray, but that's how it goes. I haven't actually tried out Heavy Assault Stormtrooper, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be pretty decent with them. Just for defense. Like if something's coming at you, just put down this guy. They have to kill him. These guys do tons of damage, which is super nice. But the biggest problem with him is the hero doesn't do too much. He's got okay DPS, but like he's super slow, not much health. Not having unique kind of hurts him, or decent unique, sorry. And he's lacking a little bit of flexibility with troop selection at the moment. I think he has a lot of room to grow just because if new first order stuff comes out, he'll be good. But right now, he gets hurt too much by AoE, which is like great from Rebels right now. Like T-70 just wrecks his face. It's super annoying. Once Pipe Guy gets a little bit better, it's going to be hard to push into. So I think he's just lacking the troops to make him that viable right now. But we'll see how it goes. I could be wrong. Next up, we got D tier. These guys are hard to use. I don't even know if they're worth it. First up is GI. Biggest problem with GI. I played him level 6 against like a level 4. He does tons of damage, but that's only if you're over leveled with him. But even levels, his skill doesn't have enough range to actually get into somebody real quick and deal damage. His passive's okay. Again, it's like Vader. It's getting better because you're actually getting like decent organic units coming out. Brothers Boomerang is just like why? He's still probably the best option, 3 energy, but why does he have that stupid throw? So yeah, the problem, like, just use Maul or Kylo or Vader or Seventh Sister, and they're all better than him. So that's why he's down here. Finally, we got 40 Vader. I just don't think he's good. His skill doesn't kill anything. His revive, or not his revive, sorry, but his health is only good if you're going against guys that just suicide into you. But most people know how to play against 40 Vader right now, so you're not going to get your health back that much, excuse me. He doesn't have a unique. His AoE attacks are still okay, but it's just everything else is just not up to par, so that's why he's down here. There's no reason to use him. Other than fun. Like, that's the thing. GI and 40th Vader can be fun, but they're just not very good. Alright, that's it for the Empire, guys. For the uniques on Empire, I ended up moving up Sith Pro Droid because I had it low for some reason. When really, like, it's super good. That's really the only change. I have First Order Officer in D, just don't use him. And I have T-Rex in S tier, because he's super good. Alright, first up we got Rebels. Like I said at the start, Rebels are very dependent on what the Empire is playing right now. A lot of people... Most people are using ATRTs just because at the moment they were a meta breaker in a sense. Some guys can make really good use of them, but they were seeing play in a lot of stuff. Just because you can't slave one them, you can't nerve gas them, you can't stun them unless you're callous. And so that's why like they're just in there because Empire players didn't know how to play against them. More people are learning how to play against them, so it's not just like insta-win. And they also got a little bit of nerf, but to be honest, I like the nerf. I like the deployment time. I like building pushes with these instead of just dropping them when somebody dies. I think it works out a lot better. At first up, we got 40 Luke. Um, it was between him and Hera for me, and the biggest thing with 40 Luke is he crushes Mauls. The biggest, like, that's why he's #1 for Rebels. It's just, he destroys Maul like it's nobody's business. His push just wrecks his unique. He does tons of damage to tech units, which are, like, running around all over the place. He's great at protecting the ATRTs. And he's super fast, does decent damage. So right now, I think it probably wouldn't be this high if Maul's not #1. However, there's other guys that are pretty good at the moment too. But it's just his ability just to utterly destroy Mauls is so good. And that's why he's up here. Next up, we got Hera. I'm gonna put the... I think Hera's super good. She just has some issues against aggressive Mauls. Because you need to get your ability up, and then once your ability up, you're set. She gets energy back. Her skill cooldown's quicker. Her AoE's nuts. She doesn't have the greatest DPS or health, but that skill makes up for it. Chopper's really good. Chopper's a beast. There's always going to be tech units to stun. 2 energy. You can always get them out just for passive. Get some energy back. Get your skill cooldown up. She can dodge out of damage so easily with her ability. I just think she's super hard to kill. She's super versatile. She's got great AoE, and because Chopper's 2 energy, you can use a whole bunch of stuff. You can use the ATRT. Her with T70 is insane. You can basically block 2 lanes against her. Super hard to split push against. And on top of all of that, if you get Chopper on a tower, like it's a free tower. It's insane. So I think Hera's super good. #2 for me. And the only reason she's not #1 is because there's so many Mauls running around. Third up, this is one guy that I think is here because of the meta. And that's Anakin. I think Anakin's #3. Just because he, like, kicks so much ass against melee heroes. And really, basically, a bunch of the top dark side heroes are melee. So, like, Maul, Kylo, Kallus, Vader. Even, like, Phasma's running around. You just break stun. You can't be stunned, basically, if you're smart. Ahsoka's still really good. She does tons of damage. So it's good at, like, killing Kylos and stuff. I know a lot of people don't think Kylo's better than Anakin. But I think Anakin counters Kylo. Just because you can only get out of a stun once with Kylo. And then other than that, you're just, like, constantly stunning him. He's got Ahsoka to actually be able to deal enough damage to Kylo. The biggest thing with Anakin was that he's not very good against ranged heroes. But with the meta being what it is, having a whole bunch of melee heroes running around, he's so good at the moment. You kill the hero, your troops are gonna be, like, pushing hard. You can play passive and wreck aggressive dudes just by stunning them in turret range. He doesn't do too bad with ATRTs either. Like, having Ahsoka kind of hurts, but you can make it work with 4 energy. So that's why he's #3. He's got good health. He doesn't do that much DPS to towers. Like, his DPS is a little on the low side, but it's more made up with the control that you get from his auto attacks. And there's enough damage behind him and his ability that it doesn't really worry too much about it. The biggest thing I find with people with Anakin against Kylo is they'll keep throwing units into Kylo's rage. It's like, all you need to do is just one-on-one with Anakin and Kylo, and then have maybe, like, some ranged troops behind him, and then you're fine. Next up, this one was a little rough. But I still think she's super good. So #4, we got Jyn. She just has incredible melee DPS. She never has to cross half because of her sniper ability. And then with so many good range units now that it's organic, right? Pretty sure. Yeah. But, like, Pathfinders, clone troopers, resistance guys. There's so many strong range guys that get so much damage from her. She doesn't have to be anywhere close to somebody if she doesn't want to, or she can get up and just kick somebody's ass. POW helps out a lot against like Maul and stuff when when they're diving. You can slow them right down, not have to worry about it. Or you don't even have to use POW, but I'm pretty sure you'd be using him. He's tanky, does tons of damage with her passive. So Jin's number 4. She's got tons of damage, and she never has to cross half if she doesn't want to. Next up, we're gonna go to the A tier. First up, we got Han. It's basically the same thing as all the other videos. Mines are great, has crit damage. Chewie's available if you need taunts, get people off your tower. He's just solid all around. There's no weaknesses in him. He just not quite being able to crack the top 4 all the time just because there's other people that are better than him. Then we got Bodhi. Definitely gets a big booster in ATRTs, but it's kind of the same thing as always. You shouldn't lose. Like, you're not always going to win, but you shouldn't lose with Bodhi. Then we got Padme, who was one of the ones that I was thinking about changing for Jin. But I just think the ability for Jin never having to cross half is just a little bit stronger than Padme's ability. Just giving your troops damage is insane. Being able to split and having Typho reducing damage is great against like Kylo and Maul and all that stuff. And then you just shit damage on them. So you can play defensive, you can play aggro, everything of yours does tons of damage. She does tons of damage by herself as well. And she's surprisingly tanky because of the clones and Typho. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see her in the top 4 soon. So keep an eye out for her. She's really good. She's just missing out. Next up we got Yoda. I think Yoda is a casualty of the meta at the moment. I know some people think she's like the best, super strong. I think the biggest problem with Yoda is that right now the old meta is still kind of around, where like people are running nerf gas and sometimes scouts, which will really hurt him because you can't really run mates and ATRTs very well together. Mace is a good like counter pusher, but if they're not doing anything, it's kind of soft, rough. And when it comes down to it, you're reliant on dodging at the right time and not dodging at the right time. So if you can dodge certain things, you're golden, but if you can't dodge them, you're gonna get wrecked. And sometimes if you do dodge stuff, you're gonna get wrecked. Like if you're trying to die or something, you can't actually die. So it can be rough. I just think he's a victim of the meta at the moment. If people start turning away from nerve gas a lot and scout troopers, you can see him probably break the top 4. Next up, we got Luke. He moved up. I had trouble placing this Luke and the next person as well. I just think Luke right now, he's got a solid ability, does a fair amount of damage. He's got solid stats, solid DPS, solid health. It goes up if Kenobi dies, which is even nicer. And then Kenobi got changed. I think he's a little bit better. The biggest thing with Kenobi, I think now with 5 energy, is as long as he takes over something, he's good value. Because even for 3 energy, the stats are pretty insane. But the problem is if you run into units, or decks, sorry, with all tech units, you could be in trouble. I think that's one of the big things. But I think Kenobi's really good now. Especially with all the FO guys running around. Like somebody, other than Grievous, everybody's using some kind of organic. So as long as you like can take it over, it's not too bad. Because you can always have Kenobi at the start. So they can't just like, it's not against like Rey, where you can just push for 40 seconds and you know her ability's not up. If you can draw out Kenobi and stun him, it's not too bad. But not a lot of people are running stun right now. So I think Luke is pretty good, and I think he's better than the next person, who I don't think people are going to agree with. But this is how it goes. Last person in A tier for Rebels is Rey. Like I said before, the first 40 seconds is super hard for Rey. Like, if she doesn't have the right hand, it's tough to defend. And if you lose, like, half your tower health, you basically lose the game. Because then the other person can just sit back and bomb away. Because there's no way Rey can push into anything. I really don't like her unique. I don't think it's useful. I'd rather just use T70. I know people use both of them, but I think wasting 10 energy on two of the same thing is kind of useless. She also has problems against all tech decks, Grievous, like Luke does. So she basically doesn't have a skill that way. I was really high on her when she came out, but the more I play against her, the more she sucks. It's just that first, like, 40 seconds. It keeps her down. Like, you just go aggro, and then you're set. Because she can't push. She's great at counter pushing, she's great at defending, but there's no way you can push with her. It's really rough, but that's how it goes. She's still pretty good. If people are dumb, you can take advantage. Her heal's nice, the flex is always nice, but like I said, it's really tough to push. Next up, we got the B tier. These guys are kind of just down here because I can't put everybody in A. As much as annoying as that is for me, there's a lot of decent heroes on Rebels. And they're getting more and more. And a big reason why is ATRT. Because the thing before is having all organic units just running into like things that wipe organic units out just sucked. So ATRT helps out so much with that. Base. Another guy could be up there. He's got great AoE. His skill is alright. Or his passive, sorry. You gotta have Shroot around, which is nice, but Shroot's a beast. Does tons of AoE, does tons of melee. To be honest, the only reason he's this low is because other guys are better than him. Still really good. Can use him if you want. Next up, we got Lando. There's a bunch of cheap, just swarm decks with him running around. So he can be useful. He's got a little bit of gamble in him, which is Lando, you know. If you can get 2 energy all the time, you're set. Neo Nub's a little underrated, and just being able to get like double ATRTs is super nice. But he's a little luck based, and he's a little less solid than the other heroes above, so that's why he's down here. Finally, we got newcomer for Rebels. We got Finn. I could be wrong about this, but I just think he's a little undertuned. He doesn't have enough DPS, and he doesn't have enough health at the moment to be that competitive. His passive is nice, and his skill is also not too bad. Thing is, he's good, like, you get this for 10 seconds, 26 seconds cooldown. So he's good for 10 seconds, and then you kind of got to wait for 15 seconds before he's good again. I think it ends up, he's better with organics. I think Rose isn't too bad, just because she's organic and she stuns, but I think you kind of just want to run all organics with them. So, as with Baze, and Lando, I just don't think he's as good as the other guys, which is why he's down here. Next up, we got the C tier. These guys are kind of falling behind, lagging behind. One's more or less because she only does one thing, and the other one's kind of a cost of the meta. Leia's down here. Everybody knows how to bomb her now. She does one thing. If you pull it off, you're good. Otherwise, you're going to lose. That's basically it. And that's not a good formula for a hero. And then next up, we got Ezra, who is kind of affected by the meta right now, because Kanan is his power, and there's a whole bunch of melee stuff running around, like spider droids, bladesmen, riot troopers, stuff that's coming up as well. Like the executioner. Some people are running magma guards, some people are running riot troopers. So he's just not as guaranteed to be able to be useful and get on turrets as he was before. So that's why he's down here. If the meta switches, he could jump up in a hurry, but right now, Ezra is just... He's alright. But the power with Kanan, and Kanan's not as strong as he was, so he's down here. Finally, we got the D tier. I wouldn't use these guys unless you really like them. They're more fun than anything, but they're definitely not strong. Same old problems with Sabine. Not enough health for DPS. She needs more DPS. Not enough explosive units to make her passive that useful. And she has a weird thing where she jumps back and she like jumps out of range. Unique's decent. Not too bad. Can't complain. Next up we got Cassian. He's just a pea shooter. Doesn't do enough damage. He's super squishy. Having Pathfinders is nice, but it doesn't make up for everything else. Like, range is okay, but people are figuring it out. Range isn't as big of a deal anymore, so... K2 is nice. Having a taunt's okay. But he just doesn't have enough damage behind him. Because people like Maul and Kylo can just roll in, take him out. GG. And then finally, we got last newcomer. I don't have him. But we got Poe at BB-8. But I know people, not everybody agrees with me on this, but I just think he's useless. Every time I play him, you just charge at him, don't care about turret, just kill him, kill his turret. A lot of games are over before he can even use his ability. BB-8 is useless. Like 4 energies, not tanky at all. It takes forever to convert stuff, so if you're playing a guy with half a brain, he's not actually going to convert anything useful before it dies. And it's just like 4 energy is too much. His skill's okay. It's his only saving grace, but you can only airstrike things so many times. Like if you have somebody going against somebody tanky, like unless you got T-70 up all the time, it's just going south quickly. So he's down at the bottom. If I have to go out on a limb and say I was right about one hero, I'm gonna say I'm right about Poe. The other guys might change a little bit, but I know Poe's like. If Poe's good, I'm gonna jump off a bridge. Because like, there's no way. Like his DPS is shit, his health is shit, his movement speed's shit. He's got a decent ability, which doesn't even do that much damage. Everybody's like 600%. Look at his, like his attack power is shit. So it's like 600% of shit is like okay shit. Which to be fair, I really didn't want Poe to be good to begin with because he'd be super annoying to face. So those are the tiers, guys. I will do my fail 5. Just ranked the top 5 heroes overall. First up, Maul. Only one real weakness. Good players can probably play around Maul, but it's really tough. His unique just does too much damage. I think if they I think they buffed his unique so it did like double the damage. If they take that away, I think Maul wouldn't be too bad. Next up we got Kylo. He's just so good at wiping out AoE. It's wiping out Swarm. People also really don't know how to play into him at the moment. He's got certain counters, which is why he's not as good as Maul. So, he's number 2. Number 3 we got Luke. 40 Luke, just because he's so good against Maul. He's good against tech stuff, and it's like super fun to play. Got good stats. He's super, like, not very good health, but like decent damage. His ability is probably one of the better ones on Rebels. It's the only real CC one. Jink or Rey can take over people.
Everything changes.
I may be a little bit biased here, but she's got energy, she's got AoE, she's got tech, great unique, tech stopping ability. She's number 4. Number 5 we got Anakin, and I think Anakin's just up there because there's so many heroes running around. and Anakin is the melee hero. Like, if you're going against a melee hero and you're playing a melee hero, you want Anakin, because there's no other melee hero that's better than Anakin when you're facing each other. So that's my fail 5, guys. That's my tier list for now. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you disagree with me or have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll try and answer them. You can always find this document. It'll be listed. You can always check out my Twitch chat or my Twitch page where we'll have it on there. So check those out. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys have a great new year. Hopefully, whoever you like playing is pretty high up here. If not, hopefully they'll move up soon. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll talk to you later.